Hello folks, welcome to Deconstructing the Game, the channel where I run across floating cars in Cyberpunk 2077 and find glitches. Not really, but most of the time I usually do that. So in this video, I'm going to be exploring the potential cut penthouses of Night City. Now, of course, I've covered some potential DLC and future online content before, but we found a little bit more today in this video, and I'm going to show you how the graphics and compositions of buildings are made up in this video and what that can tell us about maybe the future of our penthouse suites. My name's Mike, let's get to it. So as we descend down our car elevator, you'll see that there are sombreros and sunscreens and deck chairs on this rooftop here, and there are squares that I'm assuming are meant to be filled with water and swimming pools. There's also AV pads and there's some decking and small buildings available on the roof that I can assume that should be kind of an elevator or a staircase. Very low poly graphics on the floor, so you will fall through them if you try and stand on it. The only thing that's really available to stand on is the wood paneling just above the ground, and you can see it looks nicer textures. It's very well detailed. Why this is up here, I don't know. They could have easily left this completely blank like all the rest of the buildings. You can see this on piggyback digital map for Cyberpunk as well, although the rooftop does look a little bit different. This area is just across from Mega Building number 8. You'll see that just there. That's the building where you do Pisces for Judy Alvarez and where you do the last Clouds mission. Very low poly graphics. As you can see, all the deck chairs here are pretty cruddy looking, and the AV pad is accessible. I mean, you can walk on that, but everything else very low poly and you will fall through. I did jump across to see if there was anything underneath, and all we see is empty space, and ultimately we end up falling through here and dying. So gonna go a bit further across with another vehicle, and it's pretty much the same, just a carbon copy. You've got the swimming pool there, a building that should be a staircase or an elevator, AV pad, and then some more kind of decking areas with deck chairs and sunscreen parasols. Just to be clear, I'm not an expert on this kind of stuff. I just like playing the games and finding new things and exploiting things that we might not have seen before, so just bear that in mind. I just explore things and present them to you as I find them. If you have any ideas or any information on these videos, feel free to let me know. Decided to jump across over to the top section of the mega building just to have a look at this area here. Of course, you can access this area in the Pisces mission, but I decided to go back and see if anything was different, what was changed. Nothing's changed, but I'm guessing that all of this is going to be the kind of decoration we're going to see for most high class areas, and you can see a top down view of that there. The building in front of us that has the trees and stuff that I'm going to looks to me like it could be a penthouse, just the shape and composition of it. It looks very low poly, and there's some other buildings across the way there that also look very low poly as well. But this is interesting because it has trees on it, it has a shape, and it has structure that would normally be associated with kind of a penthouse suite. And you can see there are low poly textures and there are decent enough textures which you can walk on, but I was hoping that these were going to render in properly, as if you look at Clouds again and the penthouse suite in Clouds, it does look very low poly like this until you get closer. So I was hoping that we're going to find some nicely detailed areas in this penthouse suite, but as you jump into it, all you really see is a void of nothingness. There's a couple of trees planted here and there. There's a few ornaments of oriental style as we get further along to this way, and you can see there's some catwalks and there's some nicely detailed kind of hotel looking penthouse suites there, which I did have a look at. You can walk along there, and the connection or the skywalks are very interesting because as you jump through this building here down into the ground, you can actually see what looks like very kind of early stages or skeletal stages of an elevator system that coincidentally links to one of the catwalks. So I mean, I could be just kind of grabbing that out of thin air, but I have glitched into a good number of buildings and I kind of know what elevator shafts tend to look like, even low poly ones. You can see here all this kind of paneling here, and then it lines up with the catwalk here into these buildings. There's nothing in those buildings, it's all empty, but what I'm really looking for when I'm jumping into these areas is rooms like you can see here floating, and this room is actually a room you get to see as a a John for a Joy Toy, for lack of a better word. This is where you get teleported if you basically use a Joy Toy services and you get teleported into there. These buildings look very interesting to me. They're very Oriental style, they're very unique. You won't find any buildings like this in Night City anywhere, actually, and the style is very unique, so I figured I'd jump in there. But again, unlucky, there's nothing there, but you never know, they could pop things in. If you haven't seen the video where I breach Arasaka Tower and look at the modular sections, go and have a look at that, and you'll have a better insight as to what I'm talking about, as CD Projekt Red might pop things in together. I would really like to see some missions where we jump onto these massive container ships floating along. That would be pretty cool. These are just, again, low poly textures. You can fall right through them and they don't really do much. But yeah, I would really like to see that. And as you can see here, I've got a massive line of cars that I'm using for steps to navigate across to certain buildings in the game. This is how I do this. I just kind of float around and breach buildings from the sky now, because climbing is a little bit harder since 1.2 came out. They've made it a little bit hard to climb, and some of the climbable features of the game have been removed. Ledges and stuff is harder to reach, so this is the best way for me just now that I'm in the air above Night City. I can drop into any location and it's all good. This penthouse suite here is from a gig called From Death Do Us Part, and across the road is the Paralysis penthouse. But what I was interested in was this middle penthouse here, because it is never used in any missions or gigs for the game. We're inside the apartment for Death Do Us Part just now, just having a look. The materials and the furniture are very much the same as that top penthouse for the Pisces mission, so all kind of high-rise, super classy places in Night City pretty much look the same, and there's nothing unique about them. There's a few pools and a few different items inside the buildings, but nothing really to get excited about. But that middle building between the Paralysis penthouse and this penthouse from Death Do Us Part was very interesting, because you can see it on the digital maps from piggyback.com, and you can obviously see an AV parked there. So that really intrigued me, so naturally I had to go and have a look. These catwalks and stuff, they also have like flashing LED lights, warning symbols and stuff, and I've never seen that before. I've only really seen that at Crunch Plaza when we have the warning sign around that car park. So I just do what I do best, fall into an area and have a look around. And again, nice deck chairs here. The only difference is these are actually there. You can stand on them. There's an AV pad with an aerial vehicle parked up. There's baths, there's deck chairs, there's bar chairs, and there's also vending machines that you can buy things from. So this is clearly cut content, or possibly an area that they are going to bring out in future DLC. There's a building, a little outcrop building, that definitely looks like it should be an elevator shaft because of the paneling inside there. There's nothing inside there, it's just empty space, but it does look like that is your elevator access point, or perhaps a staircase, but I'm thinking an elevator. So this looks really nice. There's bottles and stuff here, everything looks really nice, and the aerial vehicles is parked there ready to take off. So could this be an apartment for V in the future, or do we think that this is some area for a mission in the future, like a new gig or a new mission that was cut for reasons unknown? I did get to Crunch Plaza once again. I managed to get onto the top level of Crunch Plaza and have a little bit of a snoop around. Nothing has changed on the top level. The only difference is that the elevator, you cannot get into that car park at the bottom. There's an invisible wall stopping you entering the elevator and going down that shaft, which is interesting, but everything is the same. We have no change here, but it did get me thinking. I looked at the building here, it's called Metal Heaven or something like that, and all the textures look a bit blurred and messy, so you never know, this might be an area that comes into development in the future or will be available to us in future content release. If you like the content you've seen here, guys, you can always check out my YouTube channel and have a look through the list of videos I have there. Mostly glitch videos and mostly exploration videos and comparisons for Cyberpunk 2077. And the next video that I'm going to be showing is touring Night City Prison. Yes, Night City has a prison that we haven't ever got to see yet. So if you've enjoyed the video, guys, stick around because there's more stuff coming, more version 0 comparisons as well. And as always, I will catch you later.